Hey everyone, this is Illuminati Games from the DBM-GDG group on Discord, and today I'm gonna discuss and break down these three commands that I've created for a simple, basic shopping or shop system that you can use within your commands. So, in order to get started, basically what we are gonna need, let's just pause this here, and we're gonna go over to our whiteboard. So basically, this is what our shop system will need, or what we're gonna create. We're gonna need these commands: a shop command, a buy command, and a inventory command. And the shop will show the items in the shop. The buy command will buy the items in the item shop, and the INV command will show the user's inventory. Or maybe we could even create a sell command later on. Or if we wanted to, we can create the shop system within a single command. Now you can't easily do that, though just must be aware it becomes debugging the command when you run into any issues could be quite tedious, going through a single command and trying to figure out where the fault lies at. So from here, basically we're going to use the three separate command shop system, and the variables that we're going to be using is basically for our first command parameter, which is just for the buy command. We're going to be using a shop item number as the reference number, and as you can see here, the variable that we're going to use within our shop system is going to be called item 1 inventory, item 2 inventory, item 3 inventory, item 4 inventory, and item 5 inventory, which will give us 5 items that we will have in our shop. And we will reference those items using a simple numbering system, 1 through 5. And this is the item that they'll be able to purchase. And this is the price that they would need to have in their balance in order to purchase these items. Now for the money system, we're going to use a simple cash system. So the default money is going to be 200 if that data doesn't exist, and the currency variable that we're going to use for our money is just going to be named simply money. So heading back over to this video. Now I had pre-recorded this video earlier and did some commentary, but it looks like I had the mic turned off, so I'm gonna have to redub this this video. So basically, looking at the simple view, these are the three commands that we would need, and you can get these raw data off our server. The link is in the description in the video. And basically our simple view is going to consist of 9 actions. Our inventory is going to consist of 14 actions, less than that minus the comments. And then the most complex of this system would be the buy command. As you can see, it's about 60 something actions required in order to make that all 5 items available and purchasable within your buy and your shop system. So going back to the simple view, we can see that starting with action 2, we have a delete message action, and the source message is going to be the command message. In other words, the message that has the command that the user just typed in. And then from there we're gonna store the member data, which is the user's current balance that they have. And for that we'll use a stored member data. We'll select the member as command offer, use the data name money, default the value to 200 if that data doesn't exist, and we're going to store it in a temp variable named user balance. So if we wanted to display that to the balance of our user, then we would save it into a temp variable named user balance, and then we will call that temp variable later on within our action sequence, and it will have the data or the amount of 200 as its value. Okay, so from there, our next action will be action number 5, and it's to send a message. And this message is basically just shows the user what items are available within their, in your shop, or basically that. Well, anyway, moving on. As you can see, we have welcome to the server variable shop, and the reason why I use server variable is so that it can display the actual server that the command is being run on, and it just basically just shows a basic shop system. It shows the items that is available, the item number, and the price that will be needed in order to get that item into the user's inventory. So for instance here, if I wanted to actually change what the item was, I could just specify within the shop view, hey, this is, you could buy haywire, give it an icon or something, or an emoji, and it will cost $5. And of course you're gonna have to make these changes to all the other command views that uses that item 1 as a heart, and change it into the icon or item that you want to represent the item. So from there, we use a wait command, and we'll set it for 60 seconds, so that after 60 seconds that this message was sent, then the delete message action will run, and it'll delete that temporary message and keep a neat, clean view of your channels. And that basically sums up our shop view for our shop system. And as you can see, it's pretty simple. It's just using a basic send message and a couple wait timeouts and a delete action, and that's pretty much done. You have items in the shop that you can edit or modify within Discord bot maker. And if we go to Discord and we wish to type in the command shop simple view, you can see that our items are displayed and the amount as well as the user's current balance. And more than likely I'm gonna have to restart the bot here, as it looks like the changes that I made in the video didn't appear. So we'll give it another try. And I don't think I actually saved it within Discord bot maker, so let me go back to that and make sure that the changes were saved. And let's give this one more time, but I don't think I restarted the bot. So we'll go back to the command prompt and restart that. And let's give this one more try. And as you can see, we now have a item named haywire, an icon that we changed it to, and the amount for that icon or that item within your shop. So if we open up the send message, you can see that the welcome to the server and the server variable shop would actually display the full server name that the bot is currently running on. So if we go back to Discord, you'll notice that on the top of the message, welcome to the DBM-GD 3.0. The DBM-GDG 3.0 is actually just that server variable that we are displaying within our message. And as you can see here, we have the user's balance, and that still holds the data that we stored from the member data value of the user's money. So, heading over to our inventory command, it's pretty simple as well, as we're just displaying information or displaying stored data. And for our beginning actions, we're gonna again use the delete message and delete the command message that was used, and then we're gonna store the member's money balance. And if that data doesn't exist, it's gonna be defaulted to 200, and we're gonna store that value and data into a temp variable named user balance. So the next action will be a store member data, and what we're going to do is we're going to store the command offer or the user, and the data name that we're going to store is the item 1 inventory data name, that which will hold how many item 1 items we have. And of course we don't want to have any items just yet because we haven't bought any, so we're going to default that value at 0, and we're going to store this data for the member in a temp variable named item 1 inventory or INV. And then for item number 2, we're going to do the same as we did for item number 1. We're going to use the store member data. We're going to change the 1 in item 1 inventory and change that to a number 2 to represent our second item, and save it into a temp variable named item 2 inventory. So basically you'll do that for each item you want in your shop, and then the next step for it would be to display what the inventory has for that particular user. So we're going to use a send message, and we're going to use the server variable to show the server name that the user is on. The current balance that we stored as user balance will be displayed there, and then the amounts or items that the user has for each specific item that you have or want to the user to have in your shop or from your shop. So basically, if you look at this, if you right click, you can see that all item 1 is going to be referenced on the data name item 1 inventory, and item 2 will be item 2 inventory, item 3 will be item 3 inventory, and so on. And we're going to store this message in a temp variable named delete message or delete MSG. We're going to wait 60 seconds, and then we're going to delete that send message that we just sent to the user. And that basically will cover our inventory and will allow the user to run the shop simple INV command, and it would list the user's current balance as well as the amounts of items that they currently have in their inventory. So as you can see, I have the server name being displayed using just the server variable, the user balance of 175, and if you see, that's this action here. And then we have the items 1 through 5, and then the amount or quantity of items that I have in my inventory. So basically that's what the stored member data is doing here. It's storing the data that already exists so that you can display it within your command as far as using the temporary variable name that you had stored it as. So now our buy command, which is I guess the biggest or the most complex of this shop system, as it requires multiple items and multiple amounts to be checked. As you can see, most of the items are just a copy of the first item and just modified to its appropriate values as far as cost and what it's checking for as far as the values and items. So let's go ahead and break down this command. Again, we're using a delete message, and we're going to delete the command message that the user just typed in to run the command. And then we're going to use a store command parameter action to store the item number that the user wants to buy. In this case, we're only going to be using one parameter, and that parameter begins the very first parameter after the command is typed. And we're going to store that command parameter that the user just typed into a temp variable named item to buy. So the item to buy temp variable will hold the value or the parameter that the user had typed between 1 and 5 when he first ran the command, or she. So for people who don't understand what one parameter and the number 1, basically the one parameter and parameter number 1 is basically what this looks like. So it'll be the command and then the very first parameter after the command that is used. So that's what we're storing. We're storing everything after the command. And we're going to be, that parameter is going to begin in the one spot after that command, which is what I just explained. We're going to store that into a variable named item to buy. So next we're going to store the member's balance that they currently have, and we're going to store, again, use the data name money because that's what we've been using for the user's balance, and we're going to store that data and value into a temp variable named user balance. Now what we're going to do, we're going to store the items that the buy command will use within this command. So the first item that we're going to use, the data name is going to be item 1 inventory, and we're going to leave it at default value as 0 because there's nothing, nothing to be defaulted to, as this could be, there's an unlimited amount. And then we're going to do the same for item 2 inventory, item 3 inventory, item 4 inventory, and item 5 inventory. Basically what I did was right-clicked and clicked on clone command action, and then opened up each stored member data and assigned it its appropriate data name and temp variable name. So the next step in our buy command would be to basically check the parameter and see that if we are in fact using a command parameter, and if not, then we're going to send a message saying that you're using the incorrect command parameters or incorrect required parameters. And if true, that you are using a parameter, then I'm going to send this error message. And if you are using a parameter, I'm going to skip these 4 next actions. So if we go to Discord, I can show you what that looks like. We'll type in shop simple buy without no parameter. Press enter. You're going to see that we have an incorrect command usage or not enough money. and it shows the user balance as we stated as we stored in our word command. And if you look at the send message, it's basically saying that if I'm not using a command parameter, send this message. If I am using a command parameter, I'm going to skip these 4 actions and I'm going to jump to this action here, which is welcome to the shop, and it will show the available items and the inventory that the user currently has. Next action would be a 60-second wait, and then we're going to delete that send message that we just sent with the incorrect command usage. So now that we've taken care of the failed check, basically, and the message that will be sent if the command didn't continue, we're going to move on to if the user did use a parameter, what did they use? So we're going to use the an action called check variable, and what that check variable is going to do is it's going to check what we used in the command parameter or the temp variable name item to buy. So what we're doing is we're checking the variable temp variable item to buy, which is what holds the parameter number that the user used, and we're gonna compare it to see if it equals to 1. If it does equals, if that parameter equals 1 as value, we're gonna continue the actions, and if false, we're gonna jump to action number 28. So let's say the user didn't use parameter number 1, value of number 1. So this checks, action 28 checks to see if parameter 1 equals a value of 2. And if it does equals a value of 2, it's going to continue the actions underneath value 2. And if it doesn't have a value of 2, it's going to jump to action 38. It's going to check the first parameter to see if it equals 3. And if that value equals 3, it's going to continue processing the actions for, that represents item 3. And if it doesn't have 1, 2, or 3, it's going to jump to action 48 and check to see if that first parameter has a value of 4. And if it does, it's going to continue the actions. And if it doesn't, it's going to jump to action number 58 and check to see if that first parameter has a value of 5. Now let's say the user used a value of 6, then it's going to fail, and then we're going to jump this action to action number 12, which states incorrect command usage and shows that you can only use a parameter of 1 through 5 as the correct usage. So basically this is what most developers would consider a if or else if statements, or creating a loop. You're basically telling it, hey, I want you to check what this variable has, and if it equals to this, then I want you to do this. If it doesn't equal to this, then I want you to see if it equals to that, and if it equals to that, then I want you to do this set of actions. And if it doesn't equals that, I wanted to check to see if it has this item. If it has none of the values that I'm checking for, then I'm going to default it to the fail value or the fail send message. So basically what we're doing is here is that we're checking to see if the first parameter is equals 1, And then we're checking to see here if the money is greater than 4, because the value for item 1, or the price for item 1, is 5. So you want to make sure that the user has enough money in order to purchase item 1, which is a price of $5 that we're using in our money system. And if it doesn't have enough money, we're going to jump this message or this action to action number 12, which states incorrect usage or not enough money to purchase the item. So our next action, being that the user wants to buy item 1, would be the control member data. And we'll create an action, and we'll select the action to be control member data, and the member is going to be the command offer, or the command user, and the variable that we're going to control or modify is going to be named money, as we've been using for our currency. And then we're going to select the control type to add value and give it a value of -5. So we're going to be subtracting $5 from the user's balance account. Then we're going to give that item to the user. So we're going to use another control member data action, and we're going to select that we want it applied to the command user or the command offer. And the item that we want the user to have is going to be named item 1 inventory, or item 1 INV. We're going to add a value of 1 because they just purchased, we just subtracted 5 from the user's account. So of course they want their item. You need to give them that item by controlling the item variable or data name that you're using for, in this case, item 1. And we're adding 1 to item 1 inventory variable. And you can see that's that variable here, the item 1 inventory variable that we stored earlier in this command. So then the next thing to do would be to store the changes that we made, because we want to be able to display the results to the user and let them know that, hey, okay, you indeed did, was charged and you did gain a item. So we're going to use the command offer, and the data name is money, and we're going to store that that change into a temp variable named new current balance. Next, we're going to store the member data, and we're going to store that the item that we just added to that user. So we're going to use the same data name that we used to represent item 1, and in our case it's item 1 INV, and we're going to store that into a temp variable named new item 1 inventory, and we're going to use that temp variable name to display the results to the user. Next would be our send message action, and we're going to select the same channel as the send to, and for a message we're going to just put you have purchased item, and of course that's the temp variable name that we use to hold the first parameter of the command that the user entered in. And then we're going to use to display the change that they do in fact have one item added. We're going to change item 1 to the temp variable named new item 1 INV and leave the rest alone. And we'll store that into a temp variable named delete message. And the reason why you store the member data after using a control variable action is because if you don't, then the changes won't show in the complete message. In other words, they'll still show, even though they gotten an item, they won't see that item listed or represented as in fact that, hey, I just got an item, until the next time they run the command. So that's why it's important to, after using any control member data, to store that member data underneath a new temp variable name so that you can display that result to the user later on in a message. So then our next action will be to wait 60 seconds and then create another action to delete that message. And basically we go to Discord and we type in our buy one command. You can see that we have purchased item 1. My current balance is now 170 compared to where it was 175 prior. And now I have 6 items of number 1, which is the red heart. And for item 2, basically it's just a copy of what item 1 is. All I basically did was change the control member data to the amount of money that I want to charge for item 2, and change the data name of the control member data for item 2 inventory variable to be added 1 item for item 2. So as you can see, we're checking to see if the item equals 2, and if true, it's going to continue the actions, and if false, it's going to jump to action 12. And then from 20 or in action 29, the check member data, it's going to check to see if they have enough money, and if they do have enough money, then it's going to proceed to charge them $10. It's going to give one item 2 inventory item. It's going to add +1 to that variable. And then we're going to store those changes again, as I explained in item 1, so that we can use it in our send message and display the results. As you can see, we're using the for your balance, the new current balance as the balance or the data value to show to the user. And then we use for item 2, we're going to use the temp variable name new item 2 to represent that, hey, indeed 1 item was added to your inventory. Then we'll store that in temp variable named delete message. We'll wait 60 seconds, use the action delete message. And then we move on to action 3, which is just a repeat again of the same actions that we did in 1 and 2. And basically you do the same through actions 1 through 5. And the only things you will be basically changing will be the money add value, the amount you want to charge for that specific item. Always use a value of -1 of the total amount that you need. And then basically you would use the change the data name of the inventory value for the specific item. So in this case, item 5, we want to charge $25 for item number 5, and then we want to add item 5 after the purchase 1 time. So we're going to add one item of item 5 to the variable name item 5 inventory, and we're going to store that into a temp variable name new item 5 so that we can display that results in the following message. So then if we go to send message, you can see that we're again using new current balance to display the remaining balance of the user. And then we're using new item 5 for the 5th item, which represents that indeed we did give you a item because this is what you currently have in your inventory. And we store that, into a temp variable named delete message. And we'll close this up with a wait action for 60 seconds and then a delete message action to delete that send message. So basically, if we go over to Discord, I believe, and run this command, if I did do it, I'm not sure, that basically would cover our shot system. So basically, if the user, the system checks if the parameter is a value between 1 and 5, and if it does, it does the appropriate steps for that value. And if it doesn't, or that parameter doesn't exist, it would show a incorrect command usage error message. So hopefully that explains the creation of a simple basic shop system. Again, you can download the raw data that I used here from our server, which is listed in the description. And if you like this video, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you within our GDG community. So thanks again. This is Illuminati Games, and have a good one.